the boy with the moon on his forehead. Now, right before him were the gardens of the Kataki flower. He entered the enclosure and found himself in a spacious palace which seemed to be unoccupied. On going from apartment to apartment, he found a young lady of more than earthly beauty sleeping on a bedstead of gold. He went near and noticed two little sticks, one of gold and the other of silver, lying in the bedstead. The silver stick lay near the feet of the sleeping beauty, and the golden one near the head. He took up the sticks in his hands, and as he was examining them, the golden stick accidentally fell upon the feet of the lady. In a moment the lady woke and sat up, and said to the youth, "Stranger, how have you come to this dismal place? I know who you are, and I know your history. You are the youth with the moon on your forehead and stars on the palms of your hands. Flee, flee from this place. This is the residence of 700 Rakshasas who guard the gardens of the Kataki flower. They have all gone a-hunting, they will return by sundown, and if they find you here you will be eaten up. One Rakshasi brought me from the earth where my father is king. She loves me very dearly, and will not let me go away. By means of these gold and silver sticks she kills me when she goes away in the morning, and by means of those sticks she revives me when she returns in the evening. Flee, flee hence, or you die." The youth told the young lady how his sister wished very much to have the Kataki flower, how he passed through the forest of Kachiri, and how he crossed the ocean. He said also that he was determined not to go alone, he must take the young lady along with him. The remaining part of the day they spent together in rambling about the gardens. As the time was drawing near when the Rakshasas should return, the youth buried himself amid an enormous heap of Kataki flower which lay in an adjoining apartment, after killing the young lady by touching her head with the golden stick. Just after sunset the youth heard the sound as of a mighty tempest. It was the return of the 700 Rakshasas into the gardens. One of them entered the apartment of the young lady, revived her, and said, "I smell a human being, I smell a human being." The young lady replied, "How can a human being come to this place? I am the only human being here." The Rakshasi then stretched herself on the floor, and told the young lady to shampoo her legs. As she was going on shampooing, she let fall a teardrop on the Rakshasi's leg. "Why are you weeping, my dear child?" asked the raw eater. "Why are you weeping? Is anything troubling you?" "No, Mama," answered the young lady, "nothing is troubling me. What can trouble me when you have made me so comfortable? I was only thinking what will become of me when you die." "When I die, child," said the Rakshasi, "shall I die?" "Yes, of course all creatures die, but the death of a Rakshasa or Rakshasi will never happen. You know, child, that deep tank in the middle part of these gardens. Well, at the bottom of that tank there is a wooden box, in which there are a male and a female bee. It is ordained by fate that if a human being who has the moon on his forehead and stars on the palms of his hands were to come here and dive into that tank, and get hold of the same wooden box, and crush to death the male and female bees without letting a drop of their blood fall to the ground, then we should die. But the accomplishment of this decree of fate is, I think, impossible. For, in the first place, there can be no such human being who will have the moon on his forehead and stars on the palms of his hands, and, in the second place, if there be such a man, he will find it impossible to come to this place, guarded as it is by 700 of us, encompassed by a deep ocean, and barricaded by an impervious forest of Kachiri, not to speak of the outposts and sentinels that are stationed on the other side of the forest. And then, even if he succeeds in coming here, he will perhaps not know the secret of the wooden box, and even if he knows of the secret of the wooden box, he may not succeed in killing the bees without letting a drop of their blood fall on the ground. And woe be to him if a drop does fall on the ground, for in that case he will be torn up into 700 pieces by us. You see then, child, that we are almost immortal, not actually, but virtually so. You may, therefore, dismiss your fears." On the next morning the Rakshasi got up, killed the young lady by means of the sticks, and went away in search of food along with other Rakshasas and Rakshasis. The lad, who had the moon on his forehead and stars on the palms of his hands, came out of the heap of flowers and revived the young lady. The young lady recited to the young man the whole of the conversation she had had with the Rakshasi. It was a perfect revelation to him. He, however, lost no time in beginning to act. He shut the heavy gates of the gardens. He dived into the tank and brought up the wooden box. He opened the wooden box and caught hold of the male and female bees as they were about to escape. He crushed them on the palms of his hands, besmearing his body with every drop of their blood. The moment this was done, loud cries and groans were heard around about the enclosure of the gardens. Agreeably to the decree of fate, all the Rakshasas approached the gardens and fell down dead. The youth with the moon on his forehead took as many Ketaki flowers as he could, together with their seeds, and left the palace, around which were lying in mountain heaps the carcasses of the mighty dead, in company with the young and beautiful lady. The waters of the ocean retreated before the youth as before, and the forest of Kachiri also opened up a passage through it, and the happy couple reached the house in the bazaar, where they were welcomed by the sister of the youth who had the moon on his forehead. On the following morning the youth, as usual, went to hunt. The king was also there. A deer passed by, and the youth shot an arrow. As he shot, the turban as usual fell off his head, and a bright light issued from it. The king saw and wondered. He told the youth to stop, as he wished to contract friendship with him. The youth told him to come to his house, and gave him his address. The king went to the house of the youth in the middle of the day. Pushpavati, for that was the name of the young lady that had been brought from beyond the ocean, told the king, for she knew the whole history, how his seventh queen had been persuaded by the other 6 queens to ring the bell twice before her time, how she was delivered of a beautiful boy and girl, how pups were substituted in their room, how the twins were saved in a miraculous manner in the house of the potter, how they were well treated in the bazaar, and how the youth with the moon on his forehead rescued her from the clutches of the Rakshasas. The king, mightily incensed with the 6 queens, had them, on the following day, buried alive in the ground. The 7th queen was then brought from the market-place and reinstated in her position, and the youth with the moon on his forehead, and the lovely Pushpavati and their sister, lived happily together.